kindergartners. This is Mrs. Miller with your social studies lesson for the day. In social studies lesson 3, we'll be talking about how classroom rules are important. We're going to start by reading a very special story. You might be familiar with this character. Have you ever read any books about David before? Well, this book is called David Goes to School, and it's part of the David series. It's written by David Shannon. As I was reading this book, I got to thinking, his teacher keeps saying, "No, David," but she doesn't really tell him why following the rules is so important. So I was thinking that maybe while we listen to this story, maybe we could think about what we might tell him if we were David's friend. What advice would we give him on following the rules and why it's so important to follow them? Okay, let's listen.
Hello, my reading friends. It's Ani. Today, our friend David is going to school. How do you think he'll behave? Do you think he'll get into any trouble? Let's find out as we read David Goes to School. If you have a copy, go get it so you can read along with me. David Goes to School by David Shannon.
David's teacher always said, "No, David. No yelling, no pushing, no running in the halls. David, you're tardy." "Sit down, David." "Don't chew gum in class." "David, raise your hand." "Keep your hands to yourself." "Pay attention." "Wait your turn, David." "I don't care who started it." "David, recess is over." Shh. Again? That's it, mister. You're staying after school. David, have you finished? Good job, David. Yes, David, you can go home now.
David has quite a bit to learn about how to behave at school, but I think he'll catch on eventually. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed our story today. Thank you for reading with me. See you next time.
Now, let's help David to learn to follow the rules. We need to explain to David why it's important to follow the rules. Will you help me with this little activity to help David learn? Let's be good friends to David. So we are going to sort some of the things that David should and should not do. Up here, read it with me. It says, "No, David." And the blue one says, "Yes, David." Okay, so I am going to read each of these, and when I read them, I'll count down from 3 to 1. When I get to 1, I want you to tell me if it should go under no, David, or yes, David. Okay, listen. Should we move listen under no, David, or yes, David? Is listening something that he should not do or something that he should do? Ready? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. Yes, David. Yeah, David should listen. So let's explain to David why it is so important to listen. Can you turn and tell somebody near you why it's so important to listen? If you're at home, you can tell someone in your family, or you could tell even maybe your stuffed animal or even your imaginary friend. And if you're in school, you can tell somebody who is sitting next to you. So let's tell David why it is so important that he listen. Ready, set, turn, and talk. Stop, look, and listen. Okay, when you hear me say that, I want you to look right back at the screen again. So what I was thinking I would tell David is, David, it's really important that you listen in class. If you don't listen, you won't know what to do, and then you'll be confused. Let's look at this next one. The next one says, raise your hand. Would we move that under no, David, or yes, David? Is raising your hand something that David should do, or something, is it something that he should not do, or something that he should do? When I get to 1, call out no, David, or yes, David, for raise your hand. 3, 2, 1. Yes, David. Yeah, raise your hand will go under yes, David. Now let's explain to David why it is so important to follow that rule. Raise your hand. Okay, think about what makes that rule important. When I say go, you're going to turn and tell the person next to you what you would tell David about why it is important to raise your hand. Ready, set, go. Turn and talk. Stop, look, and listen. All right, so I was thinking what I would tell David is, David, it's really important to raise your hand in class. If everybody called out in class, no one would be able to hear the teacher, and it would be really hard for everybody to learn. Okay, what about this next one? It says use mean words. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. No, David. Yeah, use mean words would definitely go under no, David. What would you tell David about this rule? What would you tell him about why it is important that he does not use mean words? I'll count down from 3 to 1, and then I want you to turn and tell the person next to you why David should not use mean words. What would you tell him? 3, 2, 1. Turn and talk. Stop, look, and listen. All right, so use mean words. Oh, this is a big one. I don't like when people break this rule. So if I were David's friend, I would tell him, David, it's very important that we don't use mean words. If we use mean words, we'll hurt our friends' feelings, and we would never want to do that. Okay, now what about this next one? This next one says, be kind. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? I'll count down from 3 to 1 and then call it out. 3, 2, 1. Yes, David. Yes, of course we want David to be kind. That's a really important rule to follow. So think about why that rule is so important to follow. I'll count down from 3 to 1, and then you're going to tell the person next to you what you would tell David about why he should be kind. 3, 2, 1. Turn and talk. Stop, look, and listen. If I were David's friend, I would tell him just how important this rule is. I might say, David, this is one of the most important rules that we have. We always want to be kind to others. When we're kind to others, it makes them feel good. And we want to be a good friend and make other people feel good. Okay, what about this next one? Oh my goodness, it says hit. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? Should he hit other people? I'm going to count down from 3 to 1, and you call out no, David, or yes, David. 3, 2, 1. No, David. David should absolutely not hit. That is a very serious rule to break. Now let's tell David why he should not hit. When I get down to 1, turn and talk to the person next to you to tell why David should not hit. 3, 2, 1. Turn and talk. Stop, look, and listen. So if I was talking to David, I would say, David, we never ever hit. If you hit somebody, you could hurt them, and we would never want to hurt anybody else. Okay, what about this rule? If David is in the classroom, should he run? Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? Okay, let's call it out. 3, 2, 1. No, David. We have to make sure that David knows we do not run in the classroom. Now, tell David why that's so important. When I count down, talk to your neighbor about why running in the classroom is not allowed. 3, 2, 1. Stop, look, and listen. If I was giving David advice, I would say, David, we cannot run in the classroom. If we run in the classroom, we could trip and fall, or we could knock into somebody else, and we could get hurt, or somebody else could get hurt. Okay, what about this next one? Take turns. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? 3, 2, 1. Yes, David. That's right. Taking turns is a rule that we should follow. Now think about what you would say to David about why we should take turns. Okay, turn and tell the person next to you what you would tell David. 3, 2, 1. Stop, look, and listen. Well, I would tell David, David, we want to take turns because that's what's fair. Everybody needs to get a turn. How about this next one? Yell. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? Yell, call it out. 3, 2, 1. No, David. We want to tell David that we are not allowed to yell in the classroom. Tell him why that rule is important to follow. Go ahead and turn and talk. 3, 2, 1. Stop, look, and listen. What I would tell David about yelling is that there's no yelling in the classroom because if you're yelling, then you're disrupting other people. People can't concentrate on their work or listen to what the teacher is saying if someone is yelling in the classroom. So David needs to make sure to use a quiet voice in the classroom. Okay, final one. Do your best. Would that go under no, David, or yes, David? 3, 2, 1. Yes, David. Oh, this might be my favorite rule to talk about. So now, what would you tell David about why it is important to do your best? Turn and tell the person next to you. 3, 2, 1. Turn and talk. Stop, look, and listen. I would tell David, you always want to do your very best because if you've done your best, you'll feel really proud of yourself and you will do your best learning too. Thank you so much for helping me come up with advice for David. I think that advice would really, really help him. I think maybe David didn't understand why rules are so important, but if he heard everything that we had to say about why it's important to follow the rules, maybe he would do a better job at following them. So now it's time for us to do a little movement activity. I have this song here for us to listen to. It's called I Can Follow the Rules. So would you please stand up and push in your chair? Stand right behind your chair. Okay, and this song has some movement activities with it. So we're going to listen, do your best listening, listen to the song, and do the movements. Here we go.
I can follow the rules, I can follow the rules, and we'll have a good day when we follow the rules. Listen to my teacher, listen to my teacher, listen to my teacher, and I follow the rules. I can follow the directions, follow the directions, follow the directions, and I follow the rules. I keep my hands to myself, keep my hands to myself, keep my hands to myself, and I follow the rules. I'm always nice to everybody, nice to everybody, nice to everybody, and I follow the rules. It gives us more time to learn and more time to play, more time for fun stuff every day. It gives us more time to learn and more time to play, more time for fun stuff every day. When we follow the rules at school, oh yeah. When we follow the rules at school, oh yeah.
All right, that was fun. You can sit back down now. I'll sit back down too. Now we're going to look at some pictures of some real live students, and we're going to see if they are following the rules or not. Would you please give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to tell if they are following the rules? So let's look at this first example here, this first picture. Do these kids all look like they're following the rules during story time? Thumb up or thumb down? Ready, set, go. Thumbs up, right? Yeah, they are following the rules. It looks like they're all looking at their teacher. It looks like they're listening. I don't see anybody calling out. Everyone seems to be keeping their hands to themselves. You're doing a great job. How about in this picture? We see a little boy here raising his hand. Is he following the rules? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ready, set, go. I agree. Thumbs up. He is following the rules. He's not yelling out. He's raising his hand and waiting for his teacher to call on him. What about in this picture? Is this boy following the rules? It looks like he's about to grab this girl's hair. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think? Ready, set, go. He's not following the rules. He is not keeping his hands to himself. Okay, what about in this picture? It looks like these boys are clowning around in class while their teacher is trying to teach them. Are they following the rules? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ready, set, go. Thumbs down. Yeah, they're not following the rules. They're not doing good listening, which means they're probably not doing very good learning. They need to make a better choice. What about these kids? Looks like they're in the cafeteria. Does it look like they're following the rules? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ready, set, go. Yeah, it does look like they're following the rules. They're walking nicely on line. I don't see anybody cutting in front of anyone. Looks like they're all waiting their turn. Nice job. How about these kids? Are they following the rules? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Ready, set, go. Thumbs down. They're not following the rules. They're running in the hallway, and that's not safe. Okay, we have a little song to sing together. It's to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle. Okay? I'll sing it, and then you can sing it with me. It goes, rules for you and rules for me. See how important they can be. Always be honest, kind, and fair. Always be good and willing to share. These are rules we all should know. We follow them wherever we go. Okay, can you sing along with me now? Here we go. Rules for you and rules for me. See how important they can be. Always be honest, kind, and fair. Always be good and willing to share. These are rules we all should know. We follow them wherever we go. Okay, now I have an activity for you to do on your own. So if you're at home, you'll find this in your Google Classroom. If you're in school, your teacher will hand it to you. I'm going to show you how I completed my activity sheet. All right, here's my activity sheet. So the first thing I did, just as always, is I wrote my name at the top, starting with a capital letter. Now, the first part says, a rule I follow is, so I drew a picture of myself raising my hand. And then underneath I wrote, raise my hand. I stretched those words out to help me to spell them. Okay, and then the next part says, a rule David broke is, and I drew a picture of him calling out in class. He's saying, I have to use the bathroom. So the rule, he's not following this rule, raise my hand. He's breaking this rule by yelling out. Now it's your turn. You're going to write your name. You're going to draw a picture of you following a rule, and you could draw a picture of David breaking a rule. Then you're going to write a label underneath to show the rule that you follow, and the rule that David broke. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I will see you next time. Keep following your rules, everybody. Don't forget, they're really important.